Netanyahu fools Trump in the US and quietly sabotages the Lebanon peace plan, stalling the process that was meant to wind down Israel's presence in southern Lebanon. Israel appears to be dragging its feet on the US plan to make the IDF exit Lebanon, delaying agreed pilot withdrawals and insisting troops will stay as long as necessary despite Washington's framework. With just one village or small pilot zone freed so far, Trump's June deal to start IDF pullbacks looks increasingly exposed as a failure on the ground, as deadlines slip and Lebanon refuses new talks until Israel moves. Is Israel scared that Hezbollah could rejoin the war if it withdraws too fast? Especially as Houthi attacks on Saudi Arabia raise fears of a broader regional flare-up that might embolden Iran's allies. A US-brokered plan for Israel to withdraw from Lebanon has reportedly hit hurdles, with implementation of the agreed pilot zones stalled and delayed. The deal to end war between Israel and Hezbollah is reportedly off to a painfully slow start, as the first pilot zone exposed how difficult it is to turn commitments into action on the ground. Details of the Israeli withdrawal plan were reported by the Reuters agency on July 29, outlining phased IDF pullbacks tied to Lebanese army deployment and Hezbollah's disarmament. To the US, the pilot zone program is the centerpiece of a deal intended to end the war, serving as the main mechanism to turn the ceasefire into a durable peace arrangement. The pact links Israel's progressive withdrawal to verified disarmament of Hezbollah and other militias, making troop pullbacks conditional on proof that the Lebanese state controls the areas. Hezbollah, not a party to the deal, has refused to give up its weapons and rejected direct involvement in the talks, raising doubts about whether disarmament can ever be fully verified. Hezbollah has threatened internal strife if the Lebanese government tries to disarm it by force, warning that such moves could destabilize Lebanon's fragile political system. A senior Lebanese military official said it took weeks to establish the first pilot zone, highlighting how complex and time-consuming the process is. The first pilot zone was established in the southern village of Zawtar al Gharbiyeh, according to Reuters, as Israeli forces withdrew and Lebanese troops moved in. It took weeks of US-brokered talks with Israel and days of military operations to free and secure the village before the Lebanese army could deploy there. Rollout of the first zone offered a glimpse of a strained, complex process, with diplomats and officers warning that every additional area will face similar challenges. Amid these challenges, officials expect it could take about a year to secure Israel's full withdrawal from the designated swathes of southern Lebanon, even if the pilot program continues. Israeli troops remain stationed in dozens of villages and positions in southern Lebanon from a strategic standpoint, maintaining a buffer and leverage despite ceasefire commitments. Hassan Yorni, a Lebanese analyst and retired general, said it was unlikely that Israel would withdraw from many of these locations in the near term, given its broader strategy and unresolved disputes. Yorni noted that the deal does not set a firm timeline for either Israeli withdrawal or Hezbollah's disarmament, leaving both processes open-ended and vulnerable to delay. He also warned that any attempt to achieve disarmament by force would, at worst, risk triggering civil war inside Lebanon, as Hezbollah and its supporters view their weapons as existential. Under the deal, Hezbollah's disarmament must be verified by a third party, with international monitoring envisioned as a safeguard to ensure compliance on all sides. However, neither a specific third party nor a detailed mechanism for verification has yet been established, leaving a major gap between the agreement's text and its implementation. In order to speed up the process, Lebanon intended to propose more pilot zones, expanding the US-brokered framework beyond the initial test area. Lebanese negotiators pitched 2 or 3 larger pilot zones encompassing dozens of towns, hoping that grouping areas together would accelerate Israeli withdrawals and Lebanese army deployment. Israeli officials, including Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Katz, said troops will remain in South Lebanon as long as necessary, signaling that any broader withdrawal will be tightly conditioned on security and Hezbollah's disarmament. Houthis on July 29 claimed they struck the Saudi-linked tanker NCC Ghazal for allegedly violating their declared maritime blockade. The UK Maritime Trade Operations said an explosion occurred near the tanker, but confirmed that all crew members remained safe. Houthis also claimed they shot down a Saudi-operated Carriel reconnaissance drone over Yemen's Sareda province. The group said the drone was carrying out what it described as hostile activities before being intercepted by its air defenses. Houthi military spokesman Yahya Saree said the reconnaissance drone was brought down using what he called an appropriate weapon. The latest Houthi-Saudi confrontation was reported by Iranian state-linked broadcaster Press TV on July 29. Houthi-affiliated media claimed the Carriel was the 5th drone of its type shot down by the group's air defense units. On July 19, the Houthis announced what they described as a reciprocal naval blockade targeting Saudi Arabia, according to Al Jazeera. Houthi official Difala al-Shami said military operations would continue until Saudi Arabia ended its blockade imposed on Yemen. Yemen's Houthi-led Ansarullah movement said recent Saudi statements reflected what it described as growing confusion in Riyadh. The Houthis said the Saudi accusations came after Yemeni forces launched strikes on Aramco facilities in Jazan and Yanbu. A senior Houthi leader claimed Saudi Arabia blamed Iran to divert attention from the kingdom's blockade of Yemen. Houthi armed forces said they carried out coordinated strikes on Saudi Aramco facilities in Jazan and Yanbu on July 25. The group said the operation involved ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and attack drones targeting strategic energy sites. Spokesman Yahya Saree said the coordinated attacks had achieved their intended objectives against key Saudi infrastructure. Ansarullah claimed satellite imagery and online videos showed fires at the targeted sites despite Saudi interception claims. Senior Houthi official Ali al-Shami said Riyadh's response reflected growing pressure from the group's expanding strike capabilities. The Houthis said their siege-for-siege policy was a response to years of blockade imposed on the Yemeni people. Houthis claimed they shot down a Saudi-operated Bayraktar Akinci combat drone, according to Iran state broadcaster IRIB. The group said the Turkish-made combat drone was flying an operational mission over northern Yemen at the time of the incident. The Yemen-based group claimed the unmanned aircraft was carrying out what it described as hostile military activities. According to the Houthis, the drone was brought down while operating over Yemen's Al-Jawf province. The group identified the aircraft as a Bayraktar Akinci, one of Turkey's most advanced long-endurance combat drones. Yemen's armed forces released footage that they said showed the drone bursting into flames before crashing to the ground. The claim came after Saudi airstrikes targeted Sana'a International Airport earlier this month amid renewed hostilities. Yemeni forces later responded by launching ballistic missile and drone strikes against Saudi Arabia's Oboh International Airport.